Perfect houseplants don't exist, and if they do, it is temporary. At least for me, it has always been that way. I often get comments about how perfect my plants look and how aspirational my plant collection is, but the truth is very different. One day a plant looks Instagrammable AF, and then a few months later, it's a struggle plant. You hide it away somewhere in a plant corner, it blends in with all the other plants, and no one can notice its decline, including yourself. This phenomenon is called the cheerleader effect. From far away, altogether, those plants look great. Individually, that's another story though. The causes are plentiful: root rot, neglect, pests, or just their natural seasonal cycle. You know what? Let's play a game. While I was telling you all of this, did you spot any struggle plants behind me? Why not start right here in this corner? It looks cozy, right? All nice and green in the back. Well, you know what does not look cozy? This. Neither does this or this. On this card right here, we have two struggle plants, and number one is my Maranta Kerchoviana, Exhibit A. This Pilea peperomioides, it's healthy, it's okay, but it's in dire need of a repot. Ta-da! This plant display right here is no different. See that pink stromanthi back there? It looks terrible, horrendous. It's in need of a repot ASAP. I set a goal for myself to fix up all of my struggle plants in just one day. 4 hours to be precise, because I've got a dinner reservation. And if you feel guilty or inspired, then pause the video, grab your struggle plants and join me. Let's do this together. Gotcha! I've got a full list of plant to-dos today, so let's get going. Much better. These are the supplies we're going to use today. I have all kinds of Cybotanica soil mixes at hand: fern, ethereum, aroid. As always, the mixes are linked in the description below. Okay, let's get this baby out of her pot, and oh my goodness, do you see the roots coming out the bottom? The last time I repotted this, I put it back into the same size pot, and I regret this now. This is a typical case of grew so much it wants to escape the pot it's in. I'm going to try to contain the mess that I make as best as I can. I could either upsize the pot or I can separate this plant, and for this I'm going to use a knife, a kitchen knife, probably right here. So let's make a cut first and then see which roots are attached. With those separate plants, let's get them into a new pot and call it a day. I'm going to use the general aroid mix. I'm going to root it in water first. That's the issue if you don't upsize the pot in time. The plants dry out very quickly. I then don't water often enough, or I catch it a little too late. So the roots are dry and don't look the best probably. Ta-da! Rest of the plant is alright. Just removing the roots that ripped just now. This mix is really chunky. Water this in and then hope for it to jump back again. Alrighty, the used soil goes into the bin, especially if I have a lot of pieces of old roots, root rot, or just stuff in there. I typically don't want to reuse this. That was plant number one. Let's keep it going. Let's do this Pilea peperomioides. It's just a regular green one. I have it in this pot like forever, and I believe it's incredibly root bound. At least I suspect that to be the case, and I would like to check and maybe give her a bigger size pot. Okay, how do I do this without anything breaking? Oh, that wasn't that bad actually. It is pretty much all roots in there. Oh, okay. You know what? Never mind. I just ripped off the entire bottom part of the plant. The soil is so compacted in there, really dry. I don't think that there's much water like getting to some of those places. Because I took so much off the roots, I do want to use a smaller size pot and also a see-through pot, because I need to know what's going on with the roots. Recently, I've noticed that I have a lot of plants with not so great root systems. I think most of the times I'm just not repotting the plant soon enough and the roots just suffocate and dry out too often and then get watered and die. So I should probably work on repotting sooner. I'm going to use the cacti and succulent mix for this one. Maybe mix it with a little bit of aroid mix. Give it a good stir, just putting it back in. And you know what? The reason why I haven't repotted this was really dumb. I just liked the pot it was in and how it looked. So I just postponed repotting. And you know, now it's too late. So I definitely learned my lesson. Vanity is bad. I now am going to put it into a plastic pot to give it a little spa treatment with extra high humidity so the plant doesn't lose a lot of moisture while it's growing new roots. Whew, that was kind of radical, not gonna lie. Next plant to get an upsizing is this Silenserium chrysocadium, and my guess is it's also totally root bound. Oh my god. I haven't repotted this in very long. Just check this. Those roots growing out the bottom. There's also a ton of water in the pot. So let's just send it. This pot is so light. Oh my god, look. Look how little soil there is. I'm so sorry. In general, those like hanging pot types, it doesn't fit into any cache pots. I just don't like it. So I'm just going to use a regular shaped pot. Probably just do the aroid mix, plopping it on top. Really quick, simple repot. Nothing fancy today. I don't have time for fancy. Giving this a little shower and then it's back to its previous spot. For the next plant, I have to take you back a little bit because a prime example for chronically ignoring plant chores until I cannot ignore them anymore is my begonia tamaya. She literally just grew so tall, I had to notice her. I couldn't ignore her any longer. See, I can touch the camera with the plant. Okay, so I'm 160 centimeters tall, straight up like shoot, I don't know. Since this is surprisingly not the look I'm going for, I will have to chop her up, propagate in between two nodes here, and then I'm going to propagate the straight piece. Oh, it's juicy. Got myself a straight piece. Just have to remember where the bottom is. Let's make a few more props out of this. It looks like a little asparagus somehow. I will let them dry a bit and then put them into water. Let's check the roots. The soil is so dry. Maybe I should have watered beforehand. Let's... This shit always happens. Every time I do something, I'm ripping leaves, I have falling plants, and there's soil everywhere on the floor. Nice. Gosh darn it. You know what? I want to start this plant over. Do this, this. And that's how quick you can destroy an entire plant. Okay, just popping all of them in water. Ta-da! This is my begonia tamaya. Well, Next up, while we are at the topic of cuttings, I have this Philodendron micans variegata I got at the My Botanica fair. The leaves are almost entirely variegated and I want to get back the green in the leaves. Cleaning my scissors first. Nice. And I'm making single note cuttings, just cutting in between two notes to increase my chances of at least a few cuttings with a decent percentage of green. This can stay as is. Those other cuttings I want to let colors over. I am impatient usually, but today I want to make everything right. Next up, I want to take care of this orchid. I don't know what exactly this is. I got this from my mother-in-law. Got a really cool new pot from Plant Me, the company that also does the 3D moss poles. And it is specifically made for orchids, but I could see this work on anthurium as well. Maybe some ferns. Maybe I'll do a layer of rocks. And in an ideal world, the orchid bark pieces are big enough so they don't fall through the cracks. I would really like to see some of the roots like growing outside of the pot. I think this would look really cool. As a top dressing, I'm adding a little bit of tree fern fiber. It is done. Looks nice. While we are on the topic of Plant Me and their products, you know how in my moss pole test video I reviewed the 3D printed moss pole from Plant Me. They were so kind to send me their new and improved version of the 3D moss pole, which has solved a lot of the issues I was having with it. For example, it comes with these plastic backings. You can slide them into the pole and it prevents the moss from drying out so quickly. And on that note, which is I think the coolest invention ever, is this little piece that you can pop on the top. It acts as a water reservoir. You can adjust how much water is leaking through there, so you can just fill it up on top here, looking like this. I have a Philodendron verrucosum variety right here that I want to train on a proper moss pole to increase the size of the leaves. Yeah, this is really easy. It comes with some sphagnum moss blocks, but I'm lazy, so I'm going to use the Botanica sphagnum moss, which is pre-moistened already. Let's see. This batch of sphagnum moss isn't as great as other batches I had. Do you see this? So many small pieces. Usually it's just like nice fluffy strands. I want to be honest with you guys. Okay, see, I filled this up with water already, and then if you turn this thing down here, you can regulate how fast or slow the water is coming out. Now I just have to pot this together. I can technically keep it in the same pot if I want to. Got that on the front here as well. I'm going to put a few rocks in the bottom just to make it a little bit more like heavy. Maybe this one. Perfect. This looks very nice, I have to say. I'm happy I did this. It's time for the micans to get into the water. I just checked the time. It's 16:21, so I still have a good chunk of plants to go, but I think in 1.5 hours it's possible. So next I want to do those two marantas, Maranta kerchoviana, and you see we've got yellow leaves, we've got a lot of dried leaves here. Same goes for this Maranta, just like the green version of it. By the way, why am I doing all of this? I'm leaving for Japan in a few weeks and I'm going to be gone for 4 weeks. My neighbors, my elderly neighbors, are going to take care of the plants. I'm trying to fix everything up before they have to take over, you know? Check the roots. Like, those marantas are really tough plants in my opinion. But if you look here, you can see the plant is root bound. Number 1 done. Got a ton of those little bulbs. I'm going to try to put these in a separate pot and see if they grow new calatheas, marantas. Next up, this beautiful plant. Let's just... I have a suspicion there's mealybugs on here. God damn it. How do they always get on the plants? I hate this. Do you have anything? This plant is very root bound as well, so I mean, it was time. I might just restart. Going to save all of those little bulbs and try to propagate those too. Next on the chopping block is Philodendron White Princess. I have a pretty tall specimen, but since I don't really like the growing pattern, from time to time I chop it back down and keep the top cutting. This time I tried rerouting it in pon. Well, we powered through the past few plants. Now the propagations are done. These 4 plants, they grew so well, I just took it for granted and kind of left them to their own devices, and now the leaves are kind of bleached. There's spider webs all over it. It also needs a trim, and this Sansevieria whale fin also tries to escape her pot because it's too tight in there. Let's start with the Hoya Bella because I think it will be a quick fix. She's flowering at the moment. I just want to give her a... Oh, that is nice. That is nice. Absolute dream of a root ball. Very nice. Going to use the Cybertranica Hoya mix, of course. And I will not disturb the root ball whatsoever. I'm just transferring it to the bigger size pot. That's it. And that's number 1 done. Even fits into the same, yes, planter. Good. Let's do this succulent real quick. I think it also just needs a bigger size pot. Quite root bound. Going to use the succulent mix for this one. I'm also going to prune it a little bit because it's getting a little too crowded. We are done. Now, the whale fin Sansevieria. Oh my goodness. On top we have a ton of roots poking out, and then we also have a great root system below. This should fit. Isn't that lovely? Oh, that's great. We've got the Hoya obovata left. Let's take her out if I can. Oh my goodness. All of the old roots are grown onto the terracotta and just ripped. Want to give it a terracotta pot again. Hoya mix. In. Last 15 minutes, guys. Okay. I just wanna do a quick trim and maybe chop something for propagation. Although we are blooming at the moment and I don't want to cut off the blooms. Maybe I'll just trellis her back. This can go. This can go. Yeah, I'll make a few cuttings out of this. Is basically fixed. Let's chop this up. I'll make single note cuttings and pop them into a prop box, I guess. am I still missing something? Done, done, done. Look who's done, and it's not even 6 o'clock yet. Me! Of course, the apartment is still absolute chaos and I haven't cleaned up anything at all. But I never said I had to finish cleaning until 6 p.m., right? The little time I had left, of course, I had to clean up at least a little bit because I cannot leave the house like that. I tidied up what I could, then I cleaned the dirt off my hands and we were off to the sushi place, and here's the sushi I ate.